Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a wonderful day so far. So, over the past few weeks, months, I've just been kind of doing my patch rundowns on my own, privately, or on our Discord server in the League Symposium, and that wasn't super convenient for interaction or anything, so decided to move to Twitch. We're going to be streaming it, we're going to be recording it and saving it. If you are here for absolute top-level analysis, there are other creators who do that. I am doing my best to interpret the game under my current understanding. I don't think I'm bad at it at all, but it's mostly a thing for my own learning, growth, that sort of thing. Just now that it's kind of a public product, gotta add that little disclaimer, right? So, patch 12.18 is live. We have to use the web version because it's not in client yet, even though the patch has come out. The first thing that I like to do before moving into the new patch is just revisiting the old patch, though, just to make sure that my assessment was right. So, actually, we're just going to go back here, full screen this. This is patch 12.17 in the client. We're just going to kind of take a look at what I said about everything. Unfortunately, on Lolalytics, it's already moved over to showing patch 12.18 stuff on the front page, so I can't, like, really check everything, like, super easily. I said Ari would be low impact. I said Azir would be low impact. Yep, sure enough, the, like, actual numbers have been barely modified on both of those. Wayback Machine, I can just use, like... Yeah, okay, 17 to 16, Azir's win rate fell. Well, I mean, Azir's solo queue win rate fell like a pretty reasonable amount, actually. It's like 2%. Maybe I just, like, focus on, like, the big stuff, right? I said Azir's changes would be, like, fairly low. Camille's would be... Camille's, I had no idea what the impact would be because she had been struggling in coordinated play a little bit, but was still always an appealing option. This just made her look better in her good spots. The Ezreal changes were, as forecasted, pretty major. It did propel him back towards the upper echelon of 80 carries because he was always lurking just below. Graves, I had underrated a little bit. I said it would provide an increase to his 3rd plus clear, and that wouldn't create any new jungle, like, pick conditions. And I don't think I was wrong about that one. Obviously, Hecarim became blatantly overpowered off this. And I was right about his Enchanter synergies. Kassadin had a very small impact in the spots he was picked in. Yep, I was right on that one. Maokai, I was actually a little off on Maokai. I expected him to be a much better support and a much better jungler, but I thought top lane would not be that big a deal. As it turns out, the raw Q damage that he received was enough so that the tier power trough wasn't very significant, and so then he's really not that monogated at all. Even if he is, his wave clear is just significantly better, so he has the means to get back into base more easily. So, Maokai top lane is quite a bit strong. I should actually write that down. Dramatic damage increase. I actually have to italicize that. Did pan out very well for him, to the point that his tier power trough is not really a power trough. And just made him an excellent generalist tank again. For jungle, I thought the clear. I thought if the clear was noticeably strong, then Maokai would immediately jump to the upper echelon of jungle tanks. The clear was just barely not noticeably strong. Or sorry, the clear was just barely not strong enough. Jungle Maokai cleared. I mean, as far as I know, he cleared too slowly. I'm fairly certain that was the problem with him. I was way off on my assessment of Misfortune because I had been basically, I was brainwashed by the current prominence of E builds, and I'd forgotten how good Q was already. Because I mean, I was under the impression that just auto attack Misfortune should be maxing W then Q. As it turns out, this change right here, the cast time, was really stupid. I said Nami's pick conditions would be removed with the removal of this interaction. I think I was right. I slept on Nocturne a little bit. I said Nocturne's clear speed would be noticeably better. It is. However, lane Nocturne was something that started popping up a little more that I failed to really account for. I said Rel would be better, but this alone can't make Rel super good. I was right. However, Rel is pretty excellent in solo queue right now. Just not in comp. Bork Frost... Okay, I need to check Redactin, because I said Bork Frostfire builds would be targeted. People are still building Bork. Sure enough, in solo queue, those builds lost like 3% win rate, but the rest are still fine. Sets, I had slept on him a little bit, but I already... Yeah, EW is now 100% reliable, assuming no dashes, which is a big deal. Support set was profiting from this, but it wasn't that huge. Sivir. I said, for Sivir, that Sivir is both very strong and very possible to answer, and I stand by that. Although I would like to see her solo queue numbers, because I expect them to be quite poor right now. 52 down to 49. Yep, okay. So a 5% AD change did that to Sivir in solo queue, which makes sense because whenever you have a champion in solo queue who must survive until 2 items and they're useless before that, see Zeri, the win rate just goes down tremendously. I think Sivir's still pretty excellent. So. Silas, I was not able to assess this change, and I still won't be able to. Tarek, I said plus 1 second isn't that big a deal on his stun because it doesn't set him onto a new bravado cycle. I was correct about that. His win rate fell in solo queue a lot, but Tarek's not a blind pick champion anyway. Right. Trundle. Now, see, this one was weird. I had to ask some junglers, like, hey, how do we feel about W changes? His win rate fell 3% in solo queue, but was reasonable either way. Everyone is still Q maxing. I guess I have to, like, catch up on that one. Okay, I'm just skipping through some music here. Twisted Fate, I said mana cost buffs were big, AP ratio was big. I didn't actually follow up on the wave clear situation. But what did he gain in solo queue? Because this is a pretty good metric for this champion in particular. Yeah, like basically plus 2% win rate. This is a sort of champion that just like takes over the game constantly when he's strong, taking away his gates like that. And sure enough, Wukong was pretty much killed by the changes. So is there anything more we have to follow up on from 12-17? I don't think so. I think Silas, like, still seems to be performing fine at the level of play that matters. Yeah, people still haven't been maxing W on Trundle. It's kind of funny. Oh, well. Okay, so, actually, it seems that for patch 12-17, the stuff that I was wrong about I caught on to pretty quickly, and there was nothing really new that I had to assess at the end of the patch cycle, so that's good. Let's move on to 12-18. So, it's a pretty small patch, except I'm fairly certain that some of these adjustments are major. They removed the Nasus buffs, and I'm a little upset about that. But beyond that, I don't really know exactly what's in here. I haven't read it yet. So, let's get started. Ashe. Q bonus attack speed increased. Udyr Q max gang. Let's go. Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited. Okay. Ranger's focus, attack speed. Okay, well, actually, it's only up by 5% at rank 1, but 15% at rank 5, which is a pretty big deal. I mean, I personally think Ashe is already a pretty fine 80 carry. You just have to build a comp around her because she does very little damage. Increasing her damage in a context like this is excuse me, pretty major. Now, that won't do anything to support Ashe at all, which is good, because we don't necessarily want support Ashe getting buffed. She's in a fine spot. She's not a top tier support. She's not a bottom tier support. She's just fine. Don't necessarily want her stronger, but I mean, that's fine, right? No big deal. Now, because the patch rundown is not supposed to be like a top tier viewing experience, it's more so for me. You guys are gonna have to bear with me while I'm just like typing stuff out. Ashe, QAS increased, especially at rank 5. ADC Ashe should deal more damage. Support Ashe unaffected because we don't max Q as support Ashe. Ashe will require fewer. So my prediction is that Ashe is still optimized by damage support, but does obviously contribute more damage of her own, making her a little easier to slot into a team comp, making her easier to pick early. And when Ashe is pickable early, then she's very prominent, right? If you can, like, early... Because Ashe doesn't have a lot of, like, doomed matchups, since no matter what, she always brings her utility. Her range keeps her relatively safe, able to impact the wave. Like, I'm remembering late season 11 when Ashe was just the best AD carry in the game. You would just slam her B1 basically every game. What's the answer? There kind of wasn't one at that time. So, I mean, this is nice. This is nice. I still think people were sleeping on AD carry Ashe before this, just because she doesn't do damage. But at the same time, like, if utility champions must deal a certain amount of damage, or they don't offer enough, unless... Okay, so, sorry, I'm introducing the point wrong. Utility champions need to either do a certain amount of damage to justify their existence, or their utility just needs to be really, really, really stupid, right? Ashe's utility isn't quite at the really, really, really stupid mark, but it is good. It's very good. So I guess her regaining some of the damage that she lost from 12-10 now actually does make her a lot more of an appealing AD carry. I actually might have been overrating her a little bit before, now that I think about it, but... Ashe AD carry good, Ashe support good. Nice. Healthy champion. Okay. Hecarim, who is blatantly overpowered. Also, hi Karibo, good to see you. Hecarim came charging out of the gates after his update last patch for bringing down his overall power with these nerfs, but aiming to reduce the strength of his AD builds in particular without bringing Tank Heck back from the dead. Okay, so they're reducing his health by 25. The physical damage bonus AD ratio is down to 90%. Increased damage. Now, hang on. I need to see, like, exactly how this worked. Hang on. We're gonna go the wiki. We're gonna check out Hecarim. So, the base damage on this thing just has a 90% bonus AD ratio. Each stack increases Rampage's damage by 4% plus 5% per 100% or per 100 bonus AD. So, chat, I've just discovered why the Eclipse build existed, because oh my god. So, it was a 95% bonus AD ratio, right? And at max stacks, it was then a 106% bonus AD ratio on an ability that has... yeah, just under a 2-second cooldown at max stacks. Oh, and that's not even factoring in the increase of this ratio. Like, that's not even factoring in the ratio of this bonus effect. Okay, so yeah, Hecarim's Q does a lot of damage. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, yeah, I see why that was an issue, because if it was at 6% before, this was multiplying with this, like, oh, jeez. And then the percentage of post-mitigation damage healed is also down. So Hecarim is less durable and does less extreme damage. Now, Hecarim was kind of just absolutely disgusting before this, right? Is this enough to make him not absolutely disgusting? Well, I don't think so, because the resistances of Spirit of Dread are not hit at all, and that was a big part of his power. Because these numbers are still very high. Like, sure, the ratio goes down 5%, and this multiplicative ratio also goes down 1%, right? I mean, Hecarim's still just going to be a menace, isn't he? Like, if you pair Hecarim with an Enchanter, it matters very, very little. At worst, the Eclipse build becomes a bit worse, and you just want to be playing Trinity Monamune, as most people were doing anyway. So, yeah. Very small damage and durability nerfs, which change virtually nothing. Hecarim's damage is no longer completely egregious, but is still very, very high. Enchanter synergies remain intact. Resistance is untouched. At worst, the Eclipse build is now weaker. And that wasn't the optimal build anyway, as to my understanding. That wasn't the optimal build anyway. So, honestly, who gives a shit? Hecarim is still going to be a monster. Kalista. Oh my god. Wait, is it 6? I hate how they strike it out. Is this minus 30? I don't believe Kalista deserves a nerf. I'm going to be real with you guys. I think... I mean, Kalista's been a popular pro pick. Sure, her lane phase is very good. Sure, but people are not optimizing Kalista's support picks, and Kalista falls off so goddamn hard. Like... So, are they just nerfing her because they're afraid of her being permabanned at Worlds? Probably. Minus 30 sucks for a champion who has to be, like, this close. I guess Kalista Soraka and Kalista Renata started to be a problem, which was pretty funny. Okay. So, minus 30 HP is usually a major nerf for short-ranged ADCs. Her damage is untouched, and that's still very, very high. She has Enchanter supports that can sit next to her. I'm just thinking about how Kalista practically lanes. She very rarely takes free damage unless she's, like, actively running you down because she's so hard to pin down with a skill shot. This is Kalista's second or third consecutive nerf, though. What was her last one? Her last one was on 12/16, I think? 17? Where was it? 15? 15. That... She lost 3 AD on patch 12/15. I said on that patch it should only matter if it disrupts a wave clear breakpoint, because Kalista's basically only picked for her early objective rush anyway, or should be at least. I think on Kalista this is a small nerf. She is already a champion who is hard to lock down, who can beat poke, and who tends to not take damage unless forcing an early trade. Her damage is unaffected. This does mean... I mean, does she meaningfully fall off harder? No, not really. Does she fall off harder from 30 base HP? I don't think we have anyone in the chat who's, like, super experienced with Kalista, right? So I just have to make, like, a shot in the dark. And usually when we have small base numbers changes like this, I tend to... It's hard to assess their value. Because, like... In solo queue, tiny changes like this tend to have a major impact, but in comp, they usually don't. Like 30 HP is 30 HP is big. 30 HP is a lot on the squishy. But it matters a lot. Yeah, no, 30 base HP matters a lot more for the lane phase than it does for the late game. It has to. Yeah, and Kalista top lane has been weak for a while now, so... No, okay, so I'm going to define a heuristic right now, and we're going to see if this is accurate over the next few months. I imagine that base health changes only really affect lane phase, and if that is the case, then Kalista should be completely fine. Just because of the nature of how she moves, hops around, like how she typically avoids damage. I think this is a low impact change. It doesn't... Yeah. Since I believe base HP changes only really affect lane, and the properties that hurt lane shouldn't be affected. It's a very minor nerf. Okay. Now, if I remember correctly, Rost is the only one getting nerfed here, right? Rost has been winning the preferred Kayn form battle in most skill levels recently. Makes sense. Durability update. Not only does he offer a surprising amount of damage, but he's also proving a hard-to-kill drain tank. We want to lean more into his identity as a healing tank. They want Rost to be a tank? What? Okay. Oh, that's it? Okay, so they are reducing Q's damage, because I'm fairly certain, if I remember correctly, Darken Q does not actually have a base damage, it's just this, right? So the 65% AD is not changed. The base percent max health damage is unchanged. However, we've lost 1.5% max health per 100 bonus AD. So the scaling of lethality builds is worse. Gotta be careful. Gotta be careful. Because, like, in League of Legends, there's a lot of patches where it's just like, yeah, this doesn't really do very much. You know? But sometimes a patch that looks like it's not doing very much is actually so much more. It's not negligible. Yeah, because it's 1.5... I mean, okay, hold on. To really get at the bottom of this, what I need to know is... 55 AD. Okay, it's very, very little, guys. Because, like... Rost isn't getting... So, Rost is basically only expected to get deep enough in his build to lose 1.5% max health damage on a Q. Now, just to be absolutely sure, I know what I'm talking about, let's make sure that damage isn't doubled. Dealing physical damage. Darken. Reaping Slash's damage is modified to deal 65% plus 5%, yeah, of the target's maximum health for both instances. Okay, so actually he is losing 3% max health. And that is something. 3% max health per target. That's actually a meaningful hit to durability. If you're building, cause like, look, if we're playing Rost, right? Rost heals for a percentage of post-mitigation damage. So the raw damage that he's dealing is really meaningful. It's actually why lethality Rost is just the way to play, right? Because you need to do more damage to heal. Now, if you are losing, if you have 100 bonus AD, right? So you're on 2 items, which is normal. Like, that's fine. Then you're losing 3% max health damage per target per Q. And that's a lot of healing. So that's actually quite a bit. Rost loses 3% max HP Damage per targets per Q per 100 AD. This translates to a very meaningful loss of healing in ideal Rost positions on lethality builds. If Rost can't heal enough, then he is not useful. This should be a meaningful hit. Rost's survivability may become much more gore drinker dependent again. We must assess lethality builds. Because I'm not that sounds like a lot of healing. That sounds like a lot. And actually I'm curious, like what's his... Okay, so you should never use day 1 win rates to tell a story here, but like, yeah, especially solo queue win rates. Like, don't use day 1 solo queue win rates to tell a story here. That's a lot. That's a lot of healing. Especially against the targets he should be hitting. Okay. Lee Sin. Lee Sin is a bad champion right now. What did Lee Sin gain? Lee Sin is more durable and gained more lifesteal and spell vamp. It's not bad. Plus 6 health per level. So that takes a while to add up. Wait, that's plus 0, 1, 2, 3, 4%. Okay. Very marginal Lee Sin. Durability buffs should not make a huge impact. I think they're just trying to avoid overbuffing him, but I don't think it's going to be enough at all. Lulu, who I think is excellent. Okay, so movement speed down 5%. Sure, Lulu can survive that. Polymorph down 2%, or 2 seconds, like the cooldown. Pretty major. And disable duration is going down by 1/4 of a second at max rank. Now, the big thing here is that... Oh my god, wait, why was I was talking about this with one of my friends the other day, where it's like, yeah, it's 1 more rank until it hits the reliability threshold, but Polymorph is not an immobilizing effect. So that wouldn't... The reliability threshold concept doesn't even apply to this ability. So, I guess whatever. Like, at the end of the day, guys, it's point and click CC. How much weaker can that really be? Especially on a class that just gets as much haste as enchanters do. Like, sure, 1/4 of a second off of a CD, or off of a CC duration matters. The 1/4 second off polymorph duration is the most impactful nerf. CD change on a haste reliant class isn't major. At the end of the day, polymorph is a point and click 2-second duration CC. That's still valuable. That's still valuable, and not all of Lulu's output. So yeah, Lulu does so much already that this can't really matter, I'm pretty sure. Maokai. Okay, Maokai's getting a major adjustment. What is he getting? So, as we talked about when we were in the 12-17 bit, right? I was wrong about top lane. I was mostly right about support. He wasn't quite as strong as I anticipated because his damage wasn't as high as I anticipated. But actually what made me misread him even more is because when I played support Maokai, I'm hitting champions that aren't that durable, so my Q is dealing less damage than top lane Maokai would do, like with who top lane Maokai generally gets to hit, right? Also because he's getting more levels to get more Q damage faster. So what does he actually get here? The tiniest AP nerf I have ever seen on E. Who cares? The tiniest... I mean, okay, this isn't tiny. This isn't... He's losing 2% max health heal per Sap Magic. So, like, let's just assume Maokai has 3,000 health. I mean, he's losing 60 health heal. Yeah, honestly, when you have that much durability, that can't matter that much. Okay. Maokai. Borderline insignificant support and top nerfs. Monster damage modifier doubled. Or no, it's not doubled. It's just plus 40. Which may solve his 12-17 clear issues. So basically, what's the impact? Negligible change top lane, negligible change support, because, like, honestly, who's even building AP Maokai right now in support? Yes, they want Maokai playable in the jungle. Now, what I'm concerned about is if Maokai jungle is just really, really good, now he's just a B1 Triflex. No? Like, he's just a B1 Triflex. Because I am absolutely sure, with what I saw about his clear in the last patch, this is enough to make this clear just, like, actually really solid. The Maokai players are relearning their sapling placements to speed up his clear. Like, Maokai does have a specific clear, I've been taught. But, like, truthfully... Yeah, we should practice to it later. Truthfully, 2% max health on Sap Magic. Top lane Maokai doesn't care. And jungle Maokai is very, very happy. Sure. Misfortune. Yes, she's too strong. Yeah, much too strong. Okay, so small AD growth nerfs apparently matter a lot, but, like... Health growth nerfs... Actually, I just want to skip around now. I don't want to go in order anymore. I'm going to come back to this one. That's how I did the last patch. Just started skipping around. Okay, there's only 4 champions left anyway. So let's try to assess Udyr, who is fucking broken! And has been since before his rework, to be honest. This champion is disgusting right now. Like, even stronger than pre-rework. He is so goddamn unkillable. And if you first pick him, and the enemy picks something that answers him, you just pick an enchanter. And now what are you going to do about it? Like most new updated champs, if all of you have gotten more used to Udyr, the stronger he's become. Now he's a tad more powerful than we'd like. We want to bring down his scaling, shift his power from R max to Q max, because Q max is actually pretty bad, that's fair. Reduce the strength of W max seconds, and incentivize players to take at least 1 point in Q early. So yeah, I was just straight up wrong about my R into 3E into W into E thing. W max second just is better. Until maybe this patch. Let's see what they did. Health growth is down. That's a 106 to a 98. Armor growth is down by 0.5. So that means he becomes less baseline unkillable. Might actually be worth... You know what? This one's worth a Desmos. Oh, hang on. Okay. Oops, not that one. Okay, here we go. Okay, here's my Desmos app that I made a while ago. So, what's he getting? Actually, we have to go, first of all, to Udyr here. We need to get all of his statistics. Okay. Where's the... Oh, thanks. They removed the little box you can click to see each individual level. Okay, but either way, Udyr has 606... Actually, I'm going to close the Lolalytics one. Udyr has 664 base health. I don't need that. And he still has 664 base health. Okay. Now HP per level, right? It's going from 106 to 98. Okay. Base resistance. We're checking for armor right now. So he has 34 base armor. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I didn't know that it could go that high. He has 34 base armor, and he still has 34 base armor. And his growth is going from 5.2 to 4.7. So this is Udyr's effective HP versus physicals. And frankly, well, the difference is like 500 at level 18. Early game, absolutely negligible. Around the level 100, or like around the level 100 mark, we're seeing like a 200 HP difference. This actually does long. I mean, because when's your jungler really expected to get to 18? So yeah, we're really looking at the 11 to 15 range. Exactly. Yeah, you're not getting to 18. We're really looking at the 11 to 15 range. And in the 11, or more accurately, 11 to 13, right? So on average, you're losing about 200 or 250 health from this alone. That's not nothing. But of course, Udyr has a ton of defensive steroids, so we're going to have to check the rest of those out. So we're immediately going to this one. The percent HP heal on Iron Mantle no longer scales with ranks. The percent HP shield still does, but is smaller. So on top of losing 250 effective HP versus physicals at most stages of the game, he's also losing 0.3% shielding, or 0.3% healing, 0.5% of heal. Okay, so the shield is very negligible. And notably, the life steal is actually going up. That is a major durability hit. So that is a real durability hit without an enchanter by his side. Wildling Claw, the bear stance, the mana cost is going down. So it's easier to cast in lanes, which is huge, actually. Because his mana costs are so expensive. Like, they're so prohibitive in a lane. This is basically nothing. I mean, that's just slightly boosting the power of, like, Demonic Embrace, Q Awakening. This is big. 50 attack range. Yeah, actually allowed to charge tier. I can't believe it. 50 attack range on Q. I mean, range buffs are some of the biggest buffs that auto attackers can receive. That is his stance power, not his actual buff. If that was on attack speed, it would apply to everything, but it doesn't. It only applies when you're in bear stance. Awakened Q now deals an additional... Oh my god. Okay, that's a lot of damage. And what are they doing to Wingborne Storm? They're reducing its DPS negligibly. That is minus 40 damage over 4 seconds at rank 6, rather. This AP ratio was a little out of hand, so they're reducing it by 20%, which is actually major, but not big for tank builds. Damage to minions is down early, so he can't trade with you as oppressively. Rank 1, by the way, rank 1 Phoenix is unaffected, so like the early top lane Udyr trades don't change, they're still gross. So what does this mean? Okay. Durability meaningfully reduced. Udyr loses between 200 and 250 EHP against physicals around level 11 to 13. And Boar Stance is no longer overwhelming. Actually, is it no longer overwhelming? No. No, it's not. No, it's not no longer overwhelming. Boar Stance healing is not as strong, but the raw shielding, which is the strongest part, is better. Boar Stance lifesteal increased to incentivize AD builds. Bear Stance. Turbo buffed. Mana cost. More accessible for lanes. Attack range. Changes are always high impact. Although this only applies to Bear. And then Awakened Q chunks a lot harder, even against non-isolated targets. Phoenix Stance loses 40 base damage over entire duration, negligible, and 20% AP over duration. That one's meaningful. Top lane Udyr Phoenix trades, not affected. Okay, expectation is that jungle Udyr is still... Okay, expectation is that jungle Udyr is weaker. I think jungle Udyr is weaker. Because the durability changes are extremely impactful. However, jungle Bear Udyr plus Enchanter might be a tremendous problem. Is Udyr more situational? Question mark. Maybe we don't have to permaban him anymore. But this one, I definitely agree with Ben. Qmax gang. I think we have a problem if Qmax Udyr plus, like, Yuumi is running around. But, like, the math doesn't lie. This is actually a pretty tremendous change. Like, a pretty significant durability nerf. He doesn't get away with as much bullshit anymore. It's easier to shred through him. And minus, like, 250 HP again as a champion who is a health stacking champion. Like, that's where all his durability comes from. He's a health stacker. Yeah, he's a health stacker, and his health steroids just got nerfed. Like, that's no good. Okay. Very interesting. Let's do Thresh right now. Because we only have Thresh, Misfortune, and Nocturne left to really assess. Thresh, health growth up, good for him. Flay, damage up. Oh, damage up by 30 at rank 5. Big. Okay, so what's Thresh's problem? The dude can't skirmish. The dude cannot skirmish. At all. He is so garbage in the 2v2. Like, nerf after nerf after nerf after nerf after durability update has left Thresh with basically 0 damage. And so they tried to fix that a little bit with a Q buff a while ago. That gave Hook a little more damage, but that can't ever be enough. This is incentivizing Flaymax, which is really interesting. And I actually kind of like the idea of Flaymaxing now. I don't think that alone is enough to make Thresh good. Oh, where's the passive right now? Yeah, passive durab. It's not super good. Keep in mind, a very, very, very short trade like that in bot lane is not super feasible when you're a short range champion. I mean, like, it's just small Thresh poke, and if they go onto him, it doesn't really matter. The maximum bonus magic damage is... Oh, wait, maximum? I forgot how this works. Oh, where is the passive? Oh, that's what you meant. That's what you meant. No, it's been on E for years and years and years. It's been on E for like 7 years or 8 years or something. Because it was only on queue for a very short period in 2014, right? 2013? Something like that? I don't know. It's been on E for a very long time. It's not super impactful, like... Because at the end of the day, if you're trying to protect someone in this meta, what would you rather have? Would you rather have Lulu, who can skirmish in lane and has excellent protective utility? Would you rather have Renata, who, if you're going to have a champion who can't really skirmish in lane, at least has, like, Renata ultimate and bailout? Or would you want Thresh, who is a melee champion with a weak shield on Lantern, who, once he commits, really doesn't have any damage to contribute in a meta where a lot of AD carries are trying to scale? Like... So, is this a step in the right direction? Absolutely. I would not be surprised to see Emax be the way to go. Buff in the right direction. Flaymax might be the most appealing option now. So Thresh becomes more capable of skirmishing in lane. I'm fairly certain, let me just double check what the cooldown on this is. Flay's cooldown is 13 down to 10 seconds. That cooldown is still prohibitive. Ultimately, ECD is still prohibitive for this buff's impact. And his damage is still too low. Thresh not good yet, but it's closer. It is closer. Small durability change is nice. It's like, what, plus 100 HP at around 11, 12, something like that? Mental math. Flash Ignite Shoulder Guards Fleet Emax. Oh, Fleets. Okay, that's an interesting innovation. But yeah, that's very close to the way to go. Thresh should always be taking Shoulder Guards every single time. That is how you're supposed to be running him. That's just not enough yet. Now, what the hell did my boy Nocturne do wrong? Right? 13, yeah, plus 55 HP. Yeah, I mean, I could just type that. It's plus 65. Plus 90 at 18. I could just type it in my calculator instead of, like, just doing dumb shit here. I always keep a calculator on my desk for patch notes. So many champions just got base stat changes, huh? Growth from 0 to 1. Like, can you specify the context of this? Oh, no, you're right. I just typed in 5 times 13. No, it's plus 60. It's plus 60. So no, there's not. Thank you for catching that. Nocturne loses half an AD per level. For a level. Surely in Nocturne's case, that's negligible, right? Let me think. You lose 1 AD every 2 levels. You're only expected to be at, like, level 13. He's losing, like, 6 AD by level... Yeah, no, that's nothing. Losing 6 AD by level 13 as an auto attacker. You know, it adds up. Is Nocturne overkilling his opponents anyway? I mean, it's actually... This would only matter if Nocturne loses opportunities to kill somebody, right? It won't affect his clear. It won't affect his wave clear. It only affects his ability to kill somebody. If you are losing 6 AD per auto, as an attack speed champion. Okay, I think the only situations in which Nocturne can be affected by this change are situations in which he solo dives into multiple champions, which shouldn't realistically be happening a lot anyway. This just makes him slightly more susceptible to protection, but he should have if you're drafting Nocturne, he should have partners anyway to compensate for that. Nocturne slightly more vulnerable to protection is pretty much all this means. And no, I'm not even gonna say slightly. Nocturne is more vulnerable to protection because if he's losing like what 50 damage in like, yeah, cause it's if he's level 13, it's 6 AD per auto. So you hit somebody 5 times, you lose 30 damage. You hit some. No, that's so marginal. That's so marginal. Five AAs equals 30 less damage. Pre-mits too. It's 30 less pre-mits damage. I don't know. Maybe he is weaker. Okay, I'm kind of waffling on this one. Tiny AD adjustments can make a big difference on champions like this. Like, just think about how dramatically a champion like Graves is impacted by 2 AD because he has so many AD. Like, right, because his auto attacks are more than 100% AD. Right. AD adjustments can make a big... And Nocturne is very committal. May have an extreme impact or may be overblown. I'm going to need some help on this one in the future. So this is going to be one of those things that we have to check back on after the patch. Misfortune. Losing very little AD. It takes her 3 levels to lose 1 AD now. And 4 HP per level. Should be a negligible change. I'm not expecting this to matter a lot for Misfortune. More generic health nerf to bring her down a peg. Like, is Misfortune going to be killed by dive a little more easily? Sure. Is she the best Bloodthirster user in the game? Yes. So... I mean, the best Misfortune players who know how to adapt their items to the situations should still be, like, totally fine, I think. Okay, so, I mean, a lot of those changes were very low impact, to be honest. So, just to run back through my predictions, I said that Ashe having more attack speed does actually increase her damage, which does make her a more appealing AD carry, and I thought she was fine before if you built around her, so Ashe is actually pretty happy with the patch. Hecarim these nerfs don't really add up to much of anything, except maybe Eclipse build is weaker. Kalista, because of how she lanes, I don't expect the health nerf to matter too much. And it doesn't weaken her mid-game to late game more than it's already weakened. Kayn, I think this is really big. I think this is a really big nerf. Lee Sin, tiny change. Lulu, tiny change. Maokai, very quickly rising to problem status because all of these nerfs are negligible, and then Jungle, if Jungle also becomes very strong, then he's just a dominant Triflex. Misfortune, I don't think it's very big. Nocturne, I'm waffling back and forth. It could be quite big, actually. Thresh, negligible. Udyr, massive changes. Udyr is an HP stacking tank who just lost a lot of HP. I mean, that's pretty much what it comes down to. Udyr is a lot. Udyr is, if you look back at the graph, right? Udyr is noticeably squishier. He is. And this doesn't even factor in W yet. But Qmax plus Enchanter might be the way to go. So, we're gonna have to check that out too. I think there's basically nothing else. There's these autofill things. Now that I've done my own review of the patch, I can start listening to other analysts to see how their thoughts compare against mine. So I can get some alternate perspectives. But ultimately, if you have to take 3 champions to consider, they're all junglers. I mean, Kayn, Maokai, Udyr are probably the biggest changes that you have to consider on this patch. But like, you also shouldn't sleep on the Ashe or the potential Nocturne nerfs. So is that fair? Do we have any? Does anybody else have anything to contribute here before I end it off? Like, does anyone else have some perspective that I failed to consider here? Level 13 is 11.4 gross. Oh, right, because I'm not factoring in the complex, like, HP formula, because you don't actually gain... You don't actually gain, like, 6 HP per level. It's... I mean, where is it? Where is it? Because this is... I mean, I have the full formula written here, but... This is the armor one, or the health one, right? I know that my Desmos app actually factors it in properly. It's thinking about that correctly. Like, this is the proper formula, because there's, like, extra complexity there. I mean, which ones? HP is B... Okay, so yeah, here's the health growth. Here's the health growth formula. Right here. I don't know if AD growth works the same way. I would honestly be a little surprised if it did, but who cares? It is a close enough estimate. All growths are the same. No! No! Okay. I guess I have to factor that in. Thank you for telling me. I didn't know. Well, that should be everything. Yeah. Okay, if you guys liked this, let me know. Because I have to do these patch rundowns anyway for my own purposes, and I love to do them before I check out analysts like LS or Cadril or people like that, because I don't like to start with their opinions. I like to start with mine. If I start with mine, I learn something, compare it against theirs, and then if they see something different, I can go assess that. If they have information I didn't, that's fine. Like, it's just way better for me, right? Okay, good. So if you enjoyed it, if you guys enjoyed it, I'm going to keep doing it on Twitch because I have to do it anyway. And it's just easier to access than the League Symposium, and then there's also a record of what we talked about so people can check it out, right, and speed through it. Obviously, what I do is going to be longer than the other analysts because I have to think about it longer than they do. But that's okay. We're learning. We're learning, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to love yourselves, respect each other. If you choose to watch the stream again later, my real stream tonight is Minecraft. And I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.